In the year 2245, the galaxy was a swirling mass of civilizations, each vying for power, resources, and dominance in an ever-expanding universe. Among these interstellar factions, the United Earth Federation had emerged as a formidable player, establishing itself not only as a political force but also as a military powerhouse. Its armed forces were renowned across the cosmos, celebrated for producing some of the most disciplined and skilled soldiers known to exist. This was the backdrop against which a unique event was unfolding, a moment that would bring together two very different military cultures for the first time. The event was a visit from an esteemed alien commander, Zealer of the Velan Empire, whose very presence promised to shift the dynamics of interspecies relations. Zealer was a towering figure, known for his strategic prowess and advanced technology that had long set his species apart in the galaxy. His translucent skin shimmered under the harsh lights of the Academy, casting a soft glow that reflected the ambience of the highly esteemed training facility. The Velan Empire, with its reputation for intellectual supremacy and technological superiority, had never before encountered humanity's military in such an intimate setting. As Zealer walked through the imposing gates of the Academy, he could not help but marvel at the meticulous order of this human institution, processing every detail through his advanced neural implants, which analyzed the environment with precision and efficiency. Upon entering the Academy, Zealer was immediately struck by the buzz of activity surrounding him. Cadets marched in perfect formation, their uniforms crisp and their movements synchronized, displaying a level of discipline that resonated even with a being of his stature. This sight impressed Zealer, who had witnessed the finest military displays across the galaxy in his tenure, yet it was tempered by an acute awareness of the inherent weaknesses that such rigid structures could foster. This was a well-oiled machine, he thought, but machines could be dismantled and recalibrated. The thought lingered in his mind as he approached the main hall, where he was greeted by General Harris, a grizzled veteran of the Earth forces. Known for his leadership and valor, General Harris had earned a reputation that even echoed in the distant star systems, making his presence a noteworthy point of contact for the alien commander. "Commander Zealer, welcome," General Harris said, extending a hand in a gesture of camaraderie that was all too familiar to him. The warmth of the gesture, however, elicited only a flicker of disdain from Zealer, who viewed it as a primitive ritual of greeting, characteristic of a species still enmeshed in archaic customs. "We're honored to have you here," the general continued, his enthusiasm palpable, oblivious to the underlying condescension that draped over Zealer's perception. The commander returned the greeting with a curt nod, his gaze scanning the assembly hall. He was here to observe, to glean insights into the workings of a military that was ostensibly less evolved than his own, yet he found himself caught between admiration and skepticism. As the tour commenced, Zealer observed the cadets engaging in various training exercises. They navigated obstacle courses, fired weapons at simulated targets, and practiced hand-to-hand combat techniques, all under the watchful eyes of their instructors. The commander was initially intrigued by their ingenuity. Humanity's relentless drive to innovate was commendable, a spark of creativity that had allowed them to forge a path in the cosmos. However, as he watched, a sense of dread began to creep into his analysis of their capabilities. It became evident that this drive for innovation was intertwined with a more primal instinct, one that seemed to celebrate conflict rather than shy away from it. During a live-fire drill, Zealer witnessed a young cadet, barely out of adolescence, demonstrate extraordinary skill with a rifle. The cadet's focus was unyielding. Each shot hit the target with pinpoint accuracy. For a moment, the commander felt a surge of admiration, only to have it quickly diminish when he realized that this skill was not merely a product of rigorous training. Rather, it was a reflection of humanity's inherent capacity for violence, a concept that was profoundly foreign to his own culture, where conflicts were resolved through negotiation, diplomacy, and the sharing of knowledge rather than through bloodshed and force. As the day progressed, the atmosphere within the academy shifted. Zealer was taken to a simulated battlefield environment, where holographic projections created chaotic scenarios that required cadets to make split-second decisions. He observed their tactical formations, their creative maneuvers, and their willingness to sacrifice personal safety for the sake of the mission. Each exercise seemed to amplify the primal instincts that dwelled within them, instinctually embraced as part of their training. The commander found himself both fascinated and horrified by their approach to combat. "Your cadets are aggressive," Zealer remarked, trying to mask his unease, but the words hung in the air, a reminder of the chasm that separated their two cultures. General Harris, interpreting the comment as a critique of their training, responded with a mixture of pride and defensiveness. "Yes, Commander," he said, his voice imbued with a sense of honor. "Aggression is part of our strategy. We believe that to survive in this galaxy, one must be prepared for the worst. We train them to respond swiftly and effectively, to be ready for any threat that may arise." His words conveyed the underlying philosophy of humanity's approach to conflict, a stark contrast to the Velan Empire's ideals. Zealer nodded, absorbing the general's perspective, yet he could not shake the growing concern that humanity's readiness for conflict might ultimately lead to self-destruction. He had come to observe and learn, but what he found instead was a revelation about the darker aspects of human nature. As the tour continued, Zealer was introduced to various training programs, each designed to enhance the cadets' abilities, but it was the emphasis on combat that began to weigh heavily on his mind. He noted the relentless push for perfection, the drive to exceed limits, and the underlying belief that strength was synonymous with the capacity to inflict pain. In contrast, his own people had always prioritized strategy, diplomacy, and a deeper understanding of their adversaries. The more he observed, the more he wondered if humanity's aggressive stance would ultimately hinder their progress, pushing them towards conflict instead of cooperation. That evening, after a day filled with rigorous training and intense observation, Zealer retreated to his quarters within the academy. His mind buzzed with the day's experiences, replaying the scenes of cadets engaged in combat drills and strategic simulations. He gazed out at the stars beyond the academy's windows, contemplating the implications of what he had seen. The human capacity for violence was alarming, yet beneath that lay a profound resilience, a determination to push forward, to fight for survival against the odds. But was that resilience a strength or a vulnerability? Zealer understood that the galaxy was a complex tapestry woven from various threads of cultures, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. Humanity, it seemed, was a paradox, driven by a need for progress while also grappling with the primal instincts that resided deep within. In the weeks that followed, Zealer's observations led him to develop a more nuanced understanding of humanity. He saw how, amidst the training exercises and displays of aggression, there were also moments of camaraderie and compassion among the cadets. They laughed together, supported one another during difficult drills, and celebrated victories no matter how small. This duality intrigued him. It painted a picture of a species capable of both violence and kindness, aggression and unity. Perhaps it was not their martial prowess that defined humanity, but their ability to form bonds even in the midst of conflict. Zealer found himself increasingly drawn to the notion of mentorship. The Velan Empire had thrived by sharing knowledge and fostering cooperation among its own, and he began to wonder if humanity could benefit from a similar approach. Could he help them find a balance between their martial instincts and their potential for collaboration? With this goal in mind, Zealer initiated discussions with General Harris about the possibility of a cultural exchange program. He envisioned a partnership where both species could learn from one another, exchanging combat strategies alongside diplomatic techniques, fostering understanding and respect rather than just aggression. As they delved deeper into this conversation, Zealer articulated his vision for the future. "General Harris," he began, his voice steady yet passionate, "I believe that there is great potential for our two civilizations to learn from one another. You possess an incredible drive and determination, and we have knowledge and strategies that could complement your military training. What if we created a program that emphasizes not only combat readiness but also negotiation skills, conflict resolution, and understanding the motivations of others?" General Harris listened intently, his expression shifting from skepticism to intrigue as Zealer laid out his ideas. It was a bold proposal, one that challenged the very foundations of military training as they knew it, yet it resonated with an underlying truth: strength was not solely found in the capacity to fight, it could also be discovered in the ability to connect and communicate. The following months saw the inception of the program, which combined the best elements of both cultures. The Velan commanders introduced human cadets to advanced negotiation tactics and conflict resolution strategies, while the Earth soldiers shared their experiences in tactical maneuvering and crisis management. Slowly, a bond began to form, bridging the divide between the two civilizations. Zealer found himself more than just an observer. He became a mentor, guiding the cadets in navigating the complexities of both combat and diplomacy. In the end, Zealer's visit to the United Earth Federation proved to be far more than a mere observation. It was a catalyst for transformation, a spark that ignited a collaborative spirit between two cultures that had once stood on opposite sides of a vast chasm. As humanity learned to balance its aggression with understanding, the Velan Empire began to appreciate the resilience that lay within the human spirit. Together, they forged a path toward a future where strength was measured not just by the ability to conquer but by the capacity to connect, to trust, and to build a galaxy that thrived on cooperation rather than conflict. As the years passed, the partnership between the United Earth Federation and the Velan Empire flourished. Cadets trained not only to be warriors but also to be diplomats, learning the art of conversation alongside the skill of combat. Zealer watched as humanity grew, its culture evolving in ways he had not anticipated. The once rigid structures of military training began to adapt, incorporating elements that emphasized emotional intelligence, strategic alliances, and the importance of understanding one's adversaries. In this new era, conflicts still arose, as they inevitably would in any galaxy filled with diverse civilizations. However, the approach taken by both sides had shifted dramatically. Instead of rushing into battles with brute force, the combined forces of the United Earth Federation and the Velan Empire sought solutions that would foster peace. Together, they navigated the complexities of interstellar diplomacy, leveraging their unique strengths to avert conflicts before they could escalate. Zealer had become more than a mere observer of humanity. He had grown to appreciate the depths of their character. He realized that it was not merely their capacity for violence that defined them, but their ability to learn, adapt, and ultimately embrace a more comprehensive understanding of strength. In this collaboration, Zealer found a sense of purpose, realizing that by guiding humanity, he was also enriching his own culture, blending their approaches to create a new paradigm of military strategy and interspecies relations. As the galaxy continued to swirl with the ambitions of various civilizations, the legacy of that fateful visit in 2245 remained a testament to the power of connection. In a time when might often dictated survival, it was the alliance between the United Earth Federation and the Velan Empire that stood as a beacon of hope, a reminder that trust, understanding, and cooperation could triumph over fear and aggression. And as Zealer looked out into the vast expanse of stars, he felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey they had embarked upon together, one that had transformed not only their cultures but the very fabric of the galaxy itself. As the years rolled on, the collaboration between the United Earth Federation and the Velan Empire began to bear fruit in unexpected ways. Joint missions were launched across the galaxy, addressing threats to peace that neither civilization could have handled alone. From negotiating peace treaties between warring factions to thwarting piracy that threatened trade routes, the combined forces showcased a blend of human ingenuity and Velan strategy. Each mission not only strengthened their military prowess but also deepened the bonds of trust between the two cultures. The mutual respect that had developed laid the groundwork for an alliance that transcended mere politics. It became a symbol of hope for a galaxy often fraught with conflict. The impact of this partnership extended beyond military cooperation. Cultural exchanges flourished, with Earth cadets immersing themselves in Velan traditions and philosophies, while Velan officers learned about human arts, music, and storytelling. This cultural amalgamation ignited a new wave of creativity, inspiring joint projects that showcased the best of both civilizations. They collaborated on a documentary series chronicling their adventures together, highlighting not only their military victories but also the rich tapestry of their shared experiences. This endeavor resonated deeply with audiences across the galaxy, fostering a sense of unity that countered the isolationist tendencies that had previously marked their histories. As Zealer and General Harris stood on the balcony of the Academy, watching the stars twinkle above them, they reflected on the incredible journey they had embarked upon. What began as an observation had transformed into a legacy of collaboration, understanding, and friendship. They had forged a path that not only enriched their respective civilizations but also inspired others to seek harmony amid the chaos of the galaxy. The lessons learned and the connections formed would echo through the cosmos, paving the way for future generations to follow in their footsteps. In a universe that often leaned toward division, they had become pioneers of unity, proving that when cultures come together, they can build something far greater than themselves. As Commander Zealer made his way through the United Earth Federation's military academy, he felt a mixture of fascination and unease. The training grounds were alive with activity, each corner of the vast facility echoing with the sounds of drill sergeants shouting commands, the sharp crack of weaponry during practice, and the synchronized movements of cadets in formation. The human cadets exuded an intense energy that was palpable, as if they thrived on the very essence of discipline and competition. For a Velan like Zealer, whose society had long prided itself on diplomacy and peace, the very notion of training for war was unsettling. It was a reality that he had only observed from a distance, through the lens of reports and holovids. Now, standing on the precipice of a culture that celebrated combat, he felt a chill run down his spine. The moment he had arrived, Zealer had been struck by the stark contrast between his own society and humanity's. The Velan Empire was characterized by an ethos of negotiation and avoidance of conflict. They believed that all problems could be solved through dialogue, that every threat could be diffused with the right words. In their world, strength was defined by restraint, a principle that shaped their existence for generations. But here in the academy he was witnessing a different philosophy entirely. A philosophy that not only embraced war but glorified it. As he observed the cadets practicing their maneuvers, executing complex strategies, and displaying their tactical acumen, he couldn't shake the sense of dread that grew within him. Would humanity's warrior spirit translate into an insatiable hunger for dominance? The disquiet only deepened as he entered the psychological resilience chamber. This room, a highly advanced facility designed to test the mental fortitude of young soldiers, offered simulations meant to push the cadets to their limits, exposing them to their worst fears. The walls were lined with hollow displays, each one depicting harrowing scenarios meant to simulate the chaos and carnage of battle. Zealer's unease grew as he watched a young woman confront a projection of her family being harmed. Her scream of terror filled the room, piercing through the sterile air like a sharp knife. Yet, amid her anguish she fought through her fear, refusing to succumb to despair. This resilience was both amazing and terrifying to the Velan commander. Why do they endure such pain? Zealer asked, genuinely perplexed as he turned to General Harris, the grizzled veteran who had guided him through the academy. The general's eyes were filled with pride as he explained the reasoning behind the cadets' grueling training. To prepare them for the realities of war, he said, his voice steady. They must learn to overcome fear, otherwise it can destroy them on the battlefield. Zealer nodded slowly, grappling with the implications of Harris's words. This willingness to embrace pain and suffering was an unsettling testament to humanity's potential for destruction, a reality that he had never fully appreciated until now. The general continued to speak, but Zealer's mind was racing. He was struck by a troubling thought. If humans could harness their fear and pain, what else were they capable of? Their capacity for violence was deeply ingrained in their nature, a concept so foreign to the Velan culture that it left him questioning the very essence of humanity. Would this fierce spirit manifest in a desire for conquest? Would they seek to impose their will across the galaxy? As the tour progressed, he observed more simulations and live drills, each showcasing the cadets' tactical prowess and unwavering resolve. There was a sense of pride in their aggression, a glorification of combat that felt alien and unsettling to him. When the tour concluded, Zealer was led to the Academy's war room. The space was a stark contrast to the training facilities, filled with maps of recent conflicts and projections of potential future engagements. The walls bore witness to the intricate strategies discussed by the officers, strategies that seemed ruthless and devoid of the diplomatic finesse that characterized his own people's approach. Zealer felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over him as he listened to the plans being laid out. They will not hesitate to engage in war, he thought, horrified at the prospect of humanity's ambitions. Their fierce determination and aggressive mindset painted a picture of a species that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. As he prepared to depart the academy, Zealer stood at the gates, gazing into the distance where young soldiers continued their relentless training. The sounds of their laughter and camaraderie echoed against the steel walls, a reminder of the fierce spirit that defined humanity. He couldn't shake the image of the cadets from his mind, how they embraced their training with such fervor and pride. Turning to General Harris, he maintained a steady voice despite the turmoil churning within him. "General, I thank you for your hospitality," he said, his tone formal yet respectful. "But I must advise my people to be cautious. Humanity's potential is unlike anything we have encountered." Harris smiled, a glimmer of pride evident in his eyes. "We're just getting started. The universe should be wary of us." As Zealer departed the academy, he felt the weight of the general's words lingering in the air. His mind raced with thoughts of strategy and survival. Humanity, with its inherent ferocity and unyielding spirit, was a rising tide that could threaten the very fabric of the galaxy. As he boarded his ship, he could not shake the feeling that the balance of power was shifting. The Velan Empire had thrived on peace, yet he now envisioned a future where that peace could be challenged by humanity's relentless drive for dominance. The engines roared to life, and the stars filled the viewport, their brilliance contrasting sharply with the somber thoughts clouding Zealer's mind. He vowed to prepare his people for the storms ahead, understanding that the galaxy would never be the same again. The Velan Empire had to adapt, to confront the reality of a new power rising in the cosmos. As the ship ascended into the depths of space, he contemplated the implications of humanity's warrior spirit. They were not merely a lesser species to be observed. They were a force to be reckoned with, capable of redefining the landscape of interstellar relations. With every passing moment, Zeeler realized that the lessons learned at the Academy would resonate far beyond its walls. The human cadets, their fierce determination and capacity for violence, would forever alter the way his people viewed their place in the galaxy. Diplomacy alone could no longer suffice in a universe where others wielded war as a tool. As the stars streaked past the viewport, he understood that the Velan Empire would need to reassess its strategies, embrace a broader perspective and learn to navigate this new reality. In the days that followed, Zeeler convened with his advisors, relaying his experiences and insights from the Academy. He painted a vivid picture of humanity's strengths and vulnerabilities, urging them to develop a multifaceted approach to interstellar relations. They would need to forge alliances, adapt their diplomatic strategies, and prepare for the unexpected challenges posed by this new power. He emphasized that while humanity's aggressive tendencies could lead to conflict, they also represented an opportunity for cooperation and understanding, a chance to create a new balance in the galaxy. Yet, beneath his resolve lay a lingering sense of foreboding. He couldn't escape the feeling that humanity's emergence as a military power would test the limits of diplomacy and strategy in ways the Velan Empire had never experienced. The galaxy was changing, and as its dynamics shifted, they would have to remain vigilant and prepared for the storms ahead. Only time would reveal the true nature of humanity's role in the galaxy, but one thing was certain. Zeeler and his people could no longer afford to view the universe through the lens of peace alone. They were entering an era where strength, strategy, and the willingness to adapt would determine their survival in the vast, swirling mass of civilizations that spanned the stars. As the days turned into weeks, Commander Zeeler found himself consumed by thoughts of humanity's potential and its implications for the galaxy. The Velan Empire had always viewed itself as a beacon of civilization, a guiding light in the dark expanse of space, yet now he was acutely aware of the storm brewing on the horizon. The intelligence reports that flowed into his quarters were laced with alarming insights into humanity's rapid advancements in military technology and strategy. The United Earth Federation was not merely training soldiers. They were forging a new paradigm of warfare, one that blended innovation with an aggressive philosophy that could overwhelm even the most seasoned militaries. As he studied the reports, he became increasingly convinced that the balance of power was shifting irreversibly in favor of humanity, and the Velan Empire must adapt or risk being swept away in the tide of conflict. In his pursuit of understanding humanity, Zeeler sought counsel from the wisest advisors in the Velan Empire, those who had spent their lives analyzing and interpreting the myriad cultures of the galaxy. They engaged in extensive discussions, dissecting the essence of human nature and their unique relationship with warfare. Each advisor brought forth theories, but one perspective resonated with Zeeler more than the others. An elderly strategist posited that humanity's violent tendencies were not merely a reflection of their culture but rather an evolutionary response to their environment, a survival mechanism forged in the crucible of conflict. This insight left Zeeler pondering deeply. If this were true, then the Velan Empire's peaceful approach might not only be naive but also dangerously outmoded. The galaxy was a place where the strong could dominate the weak, and as humanity began to flex its military muscles, it was imperative for the Velans to rethink their strategies. Zeeler began to advocate for a shift in the Velan Empire's approach to interstellar relations. He argued that it was essential to engage with humanity on a more profound level, to not only acknowledge their military prowess but also to explore the underlying philosophies that shaped their identity. Perhaps there was a way to foster cooperation rather than confrontation. He envisioned diplomatic missions that could bridge the gap between their cultures, initiatives that would allow for mutual understanding and respect. The Velans could offer their expertise in advanced technologies and peaceful negotiation strategies while learning from humanity's relentless drive and innovative spirit. As he presented this vision to the Council, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The time had come to prepare for a future where humanity was not just a rival but a partner, a force that could be harnessed for the greater good of the galaxy. Yet, even as he laid the groundwork for this new approach, Zeeler couldn't shake the foreboding sensation that the galaxy was spiraling towards inevitable conflict. The whispers of war echoed through the corridors of power, and he knew that not everyone in the Velan Empire shared his vision of diplomacy and cooperation. Some factions believed that humanity's military rise was a direct threat that required a more aggressive stance. Tensions began to mount, and he found himself at the center of a growing divide within the empire. Would they heed his call for understanding, or would fear and suspicion drive them to confrontation? As he stood on the threshold of a new chapter in intergalactic relations, Zealer understood that the choices made in the coming days would determine the fate of not only the Velan Empire but the entire galaxy. The stakes had never been higher, and the need for a delicate balance between strength and diplomacy had never been more crucial.